Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. This is a look at our market leading stocks for the coming session. This is going to be for Monday, March 31st, 2014. Also make sure you pay special attention to this being the end of the month and also the end of the quarter. As far as signals go from today's session, it's kind of a mixed bag here, especially in the NASDAQ patch. Got about an even number of buy signals versus sell signals, so we're pretty well paired off here. For the most part, without any news-driven action, we're actually seeing fairly light volume. We do have a couple of volume bumps, though. There's one in Win. BlackBerry's trading a lot of volume, and that stock's getting hit very hard. That's got a VWAP and an open-close deviation, as you can see. We also have a volume bump in Netflix, and that one's trading out to the downside down below the day's open. We've also got a deviation here in Sina. That's an open-close deviation and also a VWAP deviation. That one's on a little bit lighter volume. We also have a deviation here in Biogen to the downside, but this one has no signal associated with it, at least right now. Moving on to the financials, here we're again seeing signals on both sides. We're a little bit skewed to the downside here. Seeing some pretty weak action in ICE. Got a downside CPS condition. That one's about 2% below the day's open on fairly decent volume. Citigroup, they're trying to circle the wagons here a little bit and bounce that one. Right now we're setting up with an upside RPS condition in that one after getting hit very, very hard yesterday. Visa is very weak today. That's one that should be tracked on Monday as well, and that's also trading pretty good volume relative to its sector today. Moving on to the energy names, fairly well paired off here. Got a volume bump in Devon, DVN, and that one has an upside CPS with it. We've also got a volume bump in ACI. That one's actually starting to really fade here in the afternoon, getting hit down fairly substantially below the VWAP. Moving on to the generals, a little bit to the sell side here, but there's only a handful of signals. No volume deviations here, and the trading is fairly orderly today. Best Buy is still above the day's open, but is pulling back significantly off the day's high, and it's 0.5% below the day's VWAP. Seeing some pretty good weakness in Hewlett Packard. I'm going to put that on my list for Monday. Pfizer's got a downside CPS, but on light volume, so I'm going to see if that can pick up some steam on Monday. Moving on to the housing names, very light volume across the board here. Pretty well paired off as far as signals. Hovnanian has an RPS signal after they tried to bounce it today. So be careful if you're looking for a continuation to the upside on Monday. FedEx is setting up with a contra candle and some fairly decent volume. On the commodities, definitely skewed to the downside here today. We don't have any CPS conditions, but we do have just some general weakness. Newmont Mining is a standout. That one's 4% above the day's open and nicely above the VWAP right now. AA, pretty good volume, and that one's sporting a what could be an open-close deviation a little bit later as we get towards the close. ABX, as you can see, is flirting with an upside CPS. Some of these, a lot of these precious metal names are 8 and 9 days down now, so they're definitely in a spot where they could bounce. And there was a pretty decent turn to the upside in gold. So just be flexible and open-minded on Monday to be playing the miners to the upside. All right, folks. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.